Hi, my name is Ashley, and today we'll be talking about technology tools and a brief overview of the instructional design. So, here are the basics of instructional design, but first we'll go through the three components. So, the first component is the behavioral. Behavioral psychology advocates repetition and reinforcement in learning material to create a behavior in the learner. So, means that the behavior in the learner will be learned to want to learn. The cognitive psychology focuses on engaging the learner's senses to create a learning process. And lastly, the constructivist emphasizes the learner's own experiences and personal interpretation. So that means that they constructed their own meaning and relate it by eliciting their own prior knowledge and experiences and applying that to the new knowledge that is going to be learned. And we apply this whenever we're thinking about the design of our instruction. So here is the basics of the instructional design. Now, I want to be able to give credit to Gain and Malcolm Knowles and Peter Hassel for this because this is where I got it off of the emeraldworks.com. But so for the first stage, they say prepare. Meaning that it's remembering that getting people prepared and motivated to learn can happen outside of a formal learning program. So before you even get started with teaching the lesson or anything, you need to prepare your students for what they're going to learn. Like, what is the learning objective? What are they expected to do? What are they supposed to master? You want to be able to prepare them so they're not surprised when something's about to happen, because then that just loses that motivation and it's not a learned behavior. For the next one, the next stage, they call it the engage, which means that it's the remembering that one thing bores learners is learning content that's too low level. So whenever you want to engage your students, you want to make sure that you set those high expectations for them, because if you set them too low, they're not going to be engaged because they don't feel respected and they don't feel like you have that expectation that they can learn. So you need to make sure to set those high expectations so that they're able to get engaged in your lesson and learn. Now the next part is tutor. So for tutor, that means as a teacher, you're wanting to help your students learn the content. So that's the what, the why, the how. Everything about the certain content area is what you're expected to teach your students. For the next stage, it is explore. This is remembering that learners need to try out things for themselves. If, as a learner, you're not able to learn things if you don't investigate yourselves, just like a scientist. They go out and investigate maybe even 100 labs and explore those 100 labs, but finally, when they try all those things out, a vaccine comes out. So explore, especially for your students. It's a great way for them to take control of their own learning. And the last component is review, and for online learning, help, assess, study, share, learn, enter. So in this review, you want to make sure that they understand the content, that they don't have misconceptions. And if they do, well, we can allot some time for them to teach in a different way that they will understand the content, so you can fix even if it's a little detail that they misunderstood. And that's with assessing. It could be informal or it can be formal. If you want to do a quiz, then that's fine. But you really want to make sure that's reviewing is an important step, just because that allocates if you are changing up your lesson plan for the next day or the same day. The review is always allocating for that. And just to reemphasize that for the instructional design, we've been taught a lot for inquiry-based learning, that there's the 5E model. So there's the engage, the explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. And so that's what this model has come to from this model right here. So next we will get into the administrative task tools. So right here we have GradeLink. I like this software a lot because it not only just, has the grade book, has report cards and transcripts, also uploads your lesson plans, assignments, homeworks, and also puts the standards in there. So then whenever somebody asks you, well, what are the standards for this homework assignment or for the lesson plan, it is right there in GradeLink for you. So a lot of schools, they have the attendance, the student information. I really like how in GradeLink it also has the staff/public calendar. That's really nice because, that you have some information for you, but then you also have the communication with the parents. So I think GradeLink is a really great software, and I saw a lot of great reviews for administrative tasks. The next software that I saw for administrative tools is Rediker. I think that's how you say it. Rediker software. So it elicitates that it saves time and money with their integrated student information system, manage student information across a whole school district, improve school-to-home communication for teachers, students, and parents. I think a lot of times these days is developing technology, but also securing that software for student information. And mobile devices can be a scary thing, especially, you want to make sure it's secure, no hackers. But Rediker software actually has moved it to where it can be on an iPad, your own cell phone, your laptop, a computer, and it's still secure from those viruses or hackers. It also generates, stores, delivers, and uploads report cards with skills and standards. So that's pretty cool because then the parents are able to see what was expected of their students to have learned and mastered after that 6-week period. The next one's build your best school schedule with our powerful master schedule building solution. That's a pretty cool. I haven't seen that on the other software, which that's pretty cool for higher up administrators. I'm not sure if teachers will have to do that, but that was pretty cool. And the last one is manage student billing and complete fund accounting for your school. So that's great. That's great for your school because, you have to keep track of all that kind of stuff and keep up with that data. And then so it has a lot of tabs and a lot of different things that administrators, not only just teachers, but like principals and um, administrative assistants, all those kinds of people, like they're able to do their administrative tasks on here as well, which I like a lot. So here is the classroom technology tools, and I did within science content. So here are the TEKs for science that I chose. So it is going to be the life sciences, so organisms and environments. Investigate how organisms and populations in an ecosystem depends on and may compete for biotic factors and abiotic factors. And then explore how short and long term environmental changes affect organisms and traits. So, for the first technology tool that I found, it was the Smithsonian, which is actually, this will be your engaged stage. So, this is how you'll engage your students within your lesson. But this was a pretty cool thing that you can, since we've integrated into online because of COVID-19, this is an awesome way for science content areas, is that it's a virtual field trip of butterfly species. I mean, there's other exhibits within Smithsonian, but this was the evolution of butterflies, and that is along with the content that I am teaching a lot that aligns with the TEKs. So, you're learning about the species and evolution, and it's a great way to get involved. So here is this is the virtual field trip that you can go on. It's really awesome. You're able to see a bunch of things. You can even go over here and even see the butterflies of the week, and it's just a really cool thing to go on and learn about the butterflies and how they evolved. And so I think that'd be a great engaging activity for the students to do. The next stage is the Explorer. So I actually have used iNaturalist before, and so I expect the students to explore and share the species in their natural habitat and observe findings of others. So a student could literally go outside of their house, like right outside their house, and find some sort of like plant or bug. Like I found a western honeybee and a white-tailed deer, um, and I found other things as well. But it's a really fun way to just find the different species within their natural environment, and then observing what other people in your class find. So then the students will be expected to ask 3 questions from 3 of their observers and respond to questions on their own species. So that's a really cool thing. Here's an example. Somebody found a western spiny-tailed iguana. Gives the time that it was observed, where it was observed, and then just gives the different things like that. So it's really cool. It's a really cool way for students to explore on their own. Then there's the Mendomo, which I put as the explain phase because it guides students to master concepts, develops their learning, and it collects learning experiences. So the teacher will use these mind maps to show evidence of concepts and reasoning behind evolution and natural selection of species in evolving environments. So when we go to Mind Maps or Mendomo, there's different features for it that you can use. Understand the course material, so they can find connections and patterns. They can plan and write essays, review and memorize. So anything that has to have memorization, they can do review for a test. And then use evidence to support claims. We do that a lot in science. So if they're getting pictures, from the iNaturalist, they can have claims of why they think they're there and if that's their natural environment and have supporting evidence. So there's a lot of cool ways to do that, but that would be my explain. The next one is going to be my elaborate or my extension, and this is the Flipgrid. So it's a social learning platform that allows teachers to ask questions about the species with other content areas, and students can record their answers and create a web of discussion with peers. So basically for this, I would have a couple questions regarding the evolution and species in their environment and how they're affected, and I would ask about some historical things that have happened, like um, thinking about your environmental footprint. I would ask, like, how has this population or how have people uh, impacted the species in their environment. And so that could be just people tearing down the forest to live and build a city there. There could be so many answers and so many different questions that you could elaborate on that. That would be a great way, and they can create their own creative video and look at others, and it's a fun way to get involved in your learning. And then for the last one, it is the Education Galaxy, and this would be the evaluate stage. So there's online assessments, practice, and instruction for students regarding the state test. The teacher can give a specific assessment to go to on Education Galaxy, and this can be an informal assessment, or unless you want to make it a formal one. But typically, at the end of the lesson, you want to make it informal because you don't want, your students to have pressure, and you want to make sure to get an accurate showing of if your student is learning the content. So here it shows a lot of gaps, and a lot of cool things. The alien, it shows like what they missed, and the alien explains why they missed it. And so it's really cool. You get to play games and have fun with it, and it's a really fun thing to do, but they also get to learn a lot of different things at the same time. So it's a great assessment tool for that. Thank you for listening.